Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Um, Whenever you're getting this, I send greetings and I wish you the best. At the moment, I would want to resume teaching immediately, and I want us to talk about the laws of market vibration. I know I introduced it over the live stream, but I left out some important details that I feel I should clarify as soon as possible. Now, the laws of vibration are by definition the very essence of how price is printed. Okay, so you have to bear in mind that what I'm teaching is only just one component of the machine. The machine has three parts: one part time, one part vibration, one part rhythm. It's a tripartite body. It has a spirit, soul, and a body like a man would. So it's a machine that's both alive and well. You have to be extremely cautious as to what language is in play and at what time. And since this is a very risky venture, it requires a lot of study and precision and a lot of timing for you to be able to utilize these concepts properly. So I need you to focus more on the things I'm teaching today and run with it. Do as much as you can possibly conjure out of this information in terms of back testing. Get aggressive with that, and I would recommend that you go through every single information and kind of like reading between the lines for the things I said and those things I try so hard not to say. Um, they are somewhat always finding a way to surface anyway. So just pay close attention and reading between the lines, okay? So in market vibration, it's a concept that I built and I discovered over time that it's the working principle of the market. And when you look at the market, you would see and think for a second or two, um, or a second or two, that the market actually is random, but it's not. It has a language of candle prints. And so let's see by definition what is the law of market vibration, right? Market vibration, in my framework, is the dynamic rhythm by which algorithmic models govern price behavior in the financial market. That is to tell you that you can use this to predict daily candle coloration. You would know whether tomorrow is going to be bearish or not, or when it's going to be bullish or not. So it's the same kind of mechanism. This is how price is governed. It's by vibration. And the other component is rhythm. Okay. So price behavior in the financial market is governed by these simple laws, okay, and their mathematical laws. It is the underlying computational process that determines the likelihood of price movement, whether a red or green candle. In essence, market vibration is the algorithmic selection mechanism processing vast inputs of data, right, to direct the probable trajectory of price action, guiding the market towards its next movement. So it's simple, okay? It's the governing principle. So if you're able to know the vibration of a certain time frame, say a higher time frame, you would know that we're vibrating towards a certain tendency. So you would actually be in alignment with the flow or market flow, right? So you wouldn't be caught off guard. This is how I use to know whether I will be in a trade for a long time or not. And this is how I use this concept to scalp. And this is how I use this concept to be able to determine in market options whether a candle is going to be red or green. And I've gotten pretty good at that because of experience, right? So here's an example, okay? When you take this one, you count from 1 through to 7, and you multiply that by 1.28, it gives you 9 immediately. And that's where exactly you find an next retracement, right? So when you take that 9, now from 7, you would know exactly when to enter, which is on the ninth candle. You would go long right there. Here's the trick. Here's the trick. Once you've entered, you would know when the next retracement is going to come in so you can add to your position, right? So 9, now when you multiply that by 1.2, it gives you 12 because it's 11.5. It's kind of like rounded up to 12. And ta-da, 12 gives you a high. That's likely unusual, right? That's very unusual. We don't expect this candle to be green. Why? Because this is a law of vibration. All of our vibration should be downward. But it gave us an upward vibration. That is anomaly. That's a huge anomaly. So what is the market trying to tell you is that you have to apply the -1 rule. Go back a step. Take 11 and multiply it by 1.28, not 12, not 12. The moment this candle closes in a green, you go back a step. The -1 rule comes in, and you use 11 times 1.28, and you get 14. So every time you see that a high is given, it means simply, by definition, go back a step. Because usually market vibration should always at this candle be black. If it doesn't, that's an anomaly, and you should change your computation because it's going to shift. Okay. Now, when it gives you 14, then that is exactly where you would see the next retracement falling. Okay. This is not random. This is not me slapping a bunch of, this happens every day in the market. And I'm giving you just one example. And you can go and run wild with this. You would find that I'm not lying to you. It's that this is exactly what happens every single time, right? All right. Well, if these are the conditions, then what are the laws? Can we look a bit about what these laws are? Okay. So in vibration, I have basically just three laws, or maybe four, but I basically just make sure I keep these ones always in mind. Is that when counting, you must start at the very first candle at the high or the low. In this case, it will be this green candle if I'm counting this way. In this case, it will be this green candle right here if I'm counting this way, right? But the thing that tells you where the market's going to end up here when your expansion is done and there's no more room for expansion in that direction until there's a retracement done, that's something rhythm would teach you. You can't find that using vibration. Now, to all the people who have been asking, you can't find that using market vibration. Nah, unless if you know the natural secrets of how cards are stacked and the value of each card from 1 through down to 9 and then to 13. These numbers are important. And in vibration, you can use that. I've never taught that and I won't. Now, listen, in this right here, when you have this first curve, notice that it did it in 3 candles. It did it only in 3 candles. When this happens, that's bad. You don't use a retracement of 3, not even with a constant of 1.44. The lowest, the lowest number of candles to form an arc is 4. Do not use 3 or any lower number. This is a strong law. When you have a 1-3 sequence, wait for this retracement right here. This retracement. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 1, 3, 8, which is actually a delayed sequence. So by nature, you have to make sure that in your sequence generation, you're using 8. Use this retracement for your next re-entry. Do not use the first retracement as your targeting this entry right here. That would be floored. That would be completely floored. You can utilize one time frame, but I suggest using three. Using three, the first time frame, the higher one, would be your directional bias. It would be your extension or your expansion candle. The second time frame will be the one that you use for alignment. And the third candle, the third fractal, or the third time frame, would be for your entry and refinement. That's where you refine your direction and try to pinpoint the best entry point where you have the most minimal stop loss. In that scenario, you have the best entry point, and that's the point for refinement. And my refinement time frame is either 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, so these are the laws of vibration. Write them down, sit on your chart until you've mastered the use of 1.44 and 1.28. Okay, it's not impossible. It's something I do every day. But just remember, this is one cog in the machine, for there are three. And time is the most important. Now, when you pay attention to one or two of these components and you have an idea of what direction the market is going to go, time helps you to refine exactly the best time to go into the market and the best time to exit, the best time to know when the expansion is going to begin, and the best time to know when it's going to end. This is the true language of the algorithm: rhythm, vibration, and the necessary time. So pay attention to this first video. There's a last bit of this teaching that I want to touch on today before I close. It's the type of vibration. In the market, we have the region of high vibration, region of low vibration, and regions of no vibration at all. These are known as consolidations. Okay, but they're possible to trade using rhythm. But vibration gets a bit quiet within those regions. Even though rhythm too, it's kind of very difficult for one to be able to know when to begin counting within rhythm, even when it is actually in a region of low rhythm. Okay, so vibration has a place where it's quiet. So I think in my next lecture, we'll look into the types of vibration carefully. Okay, so today was all about the guiding principles behind it. So have fun with this information. Be safe and happy trading.